Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're watching or listening. My name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information plenty of bad folks would rather not have. Today we're going to be providing another installation into our Anti-Federalist Papers series going on number 7. So if you haven't gone back and watched 1 through 6, I would encourage you to do so because understanding the Anti-Federalist Papers and the Federalist Papers together is going to provide you a very supplemental, very beneficial supplementary understanding of the U.S. Constitution. And of course, understanding the U.S. Constitution in totality is going to be absolutely necessary if you intend to combat or defend against any sort of lawfare attacks that will be waged against you, your family, or your property. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the Anti-Federalist Papers. Goodness gracious. I was trying to hold that back, but I just couldn't. Like I said, we're going on to number 7. There are multiple institutions from which you can get a paper and digital copy of the Anti-Federalists Papers. I would encourage you to get both formats just in case you can't access one or the other. While you're out and about searching for that, get a paper and digital copy of the Federalist Papers as well. Excellent. So the Anti-Federalist Paper number 7, adoption of the Constitution will lead to civil war. I wonder how that's true, or I wonder if that ever came true. Again, these gentlemen are writing in 1787, 1788, 1789. Almost 80 years. Yeah, almost 80 years preceding the war between the states. Nah, they were just crazy old guys. Just simpletons. They had no idea what they were talking about. Prefer Madison and Hamilton and Jay, who had such prettier words, bigger words. Anyway, I digress. Philanthropos, an acronym, an anonymous Virginia Anti-Federalist, appeared in the Virginia's Journal and Alexandria Advertiser, December 6th, 1787, writing his version of history under the proposed new Constitution. The time in which the Constitution or government of a nation undergoes any particular change is always interesting and critical. Oh, I think that's actually him speaking. So let's try rereading that. The time in which the Constitution or government of a nation undergoes any particular change is always interesting and critical. Enemies are vigilant, allies are in suspense, friends hesitating between hope and fear, and all men are in eager expectation to see what such a change may produce. But the state of our affairs at present is of such moment as even to arouse the dead. In brackets, I'm not sure why this long phrase was added. A certain defender of the Constitution has stated that objections to it, end of brackets, are more calculated to alarm the fears of the people than to answer any valuable end. Was that the case? As it is not, will any man in his sober senses say that the least infringement or appearance of infringement on our liberty, that liberty which has lately cost so much blood and treasure, together with anxious days and sleepless nights, ought not both to rouse our fears and awaken our jealousy? The new Constitution in its present form is calculated to produce despotism, thraldom, and confusion, and if the United States do swallow it, they will find it a bolus that will create convulsions to their utmost extremities. Were they mine enemies, the worst imprecation I could devise would be, may they adopt it. For tyranny, where it has been chained, as for a few years past, is always more cursed and sticks its teeth in deeper than before. Were Colonel George Mason's objections obviated, the improvement would be very considerable, though even then not so complete as might be. The Congress is having power without control to borrow money on the credit of the United States. They're having power to appoint their own salaries, and they're being paid out of the Treasury of the United States, thereby, in some measure, rendering them independent of the individual states. They are being judges of the qualification and election of their own members, by which means they can get men to suit any purpose. Together with Colonel Mason's wise and judicious objections are grievances, the very idea of which is enough to make every honest citizen exclaim in the language of Cato, "Zero liberty, zero, oh liberty, oh my country." Zero. The way it's slanted like that, that's what messed me up. Anyway, Our present Constitution, with a few additional powers to Congress, seems better calculated to preserve the rights and defend the liberties of our citizens than the one proposed without proper amendments. Let us, therefore, for once, show our judgment and solidity by continuing it, and prove the opinion to be erroneous that levity and fickleness are not only the foibles of our tempers, but the reigning principles in these states. There are men amongst us of such dissatisfied tempers that place them in heaven, they would find something to blame, and so restless and self-sufficient that they must be eternally reforming the state. Does that sound familiar? But the misfortune is they always leave affairs worse than they find them. A change of government is at all times dangerous, but at present may be fatal without the utmost caution, just after emerging out of a tedious and expensive war. Feeble in our nature and complicated in our form, we are little able to bear the rough posting of civil dissensions which are likely to ensue. Even now, discontent and opposition distract our counsels. Division and despondency affect our people. Is it then a time to alter our government, that government which even now totters on its foundation and will without tender care produce ruin by its fall? Beware, my countrymen. Our enemies, uncontrolled as they are in their ambitious schemes, fretted with losses, and perplexed with disappointments, will exert their whole power and policy to increase and continue our confusion. And while we are destroying one another, they will be repairing their losses and ruining our trade. Wow. Of all the plagues that infest a nation, a civil war is the worst. Famine is severe, pestilence is dreadful, but in these, though men die, they die in peace. The father expires without the guilt of the son, and the son, if he survives, enjoys the inheritance of his father. Cities may be thinned, but they neither plundered nor burnt. But when a civil war is kindled, there is then forth no security of property, nor protection from any law. Life and fortune become precarious, and all that is dear to men is at the discretion of profligate soldiery, doubly licentious on such an occasion. Cities are exhausted by heavy contributions, or sacked because they cannot answer exorbitant demand. Countries are eaten up by the parties they favor and ravaged by the one they oppose. Fathers and sons sheath their swords in another's bowels in the field, and their wives and daughters are exposed to rudeness and lust of ruffians at home. And when the sword has decided quarrel, the scene is closed with banishments, forfeitures, and barbarous executions that entail distress on children then unborn. May heaven avert the dreadful catastrophe. In the most limited governments, what wranglings, animosities, factions, partiality, and all other evils that tend to embroil a nation and weaken a state are constantly practiced by legislators. What then may we expect if the new Constitution be adopted as it now stands? The great will struggle for power, honor, and wealth. The poor become a prey to avarice, insolence, and oppression. And while some are studying to supplant their neighbors and others striving to keep their stations, one villain will wink at the oppression of another, the people be fleeced, and the public business neglected. From despotism and tyranny, good Lord, deliver us. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That one wasn't even signed. Not by Observer, not by Centennial, Cato, Brutus. Wow. From despotism and tyranny, good Lord, deliver us. Might be worth a statement duplicating in any prayers you might be sending to the Almighty above. But if you have any questions about what was said in Anti-Federalist paper number 7 or in the preceding papers, or if there's a topic you'd like me to cover in a future lecture, please post them in the comments, because the entire point of the Calhoun School of Law is to provide you with the necessary skills and information necessary skills and information to combat the ever-growing hostile lawfare state and defend against any sort of lawfare attacks that will be waged against you, your loved ones, or your hard-earned property. So please, if you have any questions at all, post them down in the comments. Excellent. So my name is Caleb Glick. I'm a lawyer here in the great state of Texas with the Calhoun School of Law to bring you a lot of information that plenty of bad folks would rather you not have. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and if not, while you're down in the comments, let me know how I can do better so I can best serve that purpose of helping you. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I'm not sure what the topic for the next lecture is going to be, but I'll do my best to make it as informative and entertaining as this one, if not more so. Regardless of the topic of the next lecture, until I see y'all then, I bid you all farewell.